Today I'm going to show you another example of lacking objectivity. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. You can follow me on X, Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. On TikTok, Mad Mickey's World, and on Snapchat, BMouse60 Mick, your host with the most. A very warm welcome to Monday's edition of the DCU Daily. It's very, very interesting because us Zack Snyder appreciators, aficionados, whatever you want to call us, you know, Snyder stands, Snyder bots, whatever you want to call us, right? And you know, I'm a DC fan, I love movies, I love stories, it's not just about Zack Snyder and Zack Snyder's superhero world. Let me be clear about that. You've got a very objective guy in front of you, right? But for years now, we've been trying to defend Zack's right in his DC trilogy to put these DC characters in the real world and show the public push back on these superheroes like they did with Superman in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. So it's very, very interesting to that fact that we were fighting for Zack's right to put these characters in the real world when I hear a leak from James Gunn's Superman movie and to hear other Snyder fans criticize what could have been done here. So there's spoilers ahead. So if you don't want to find out spoilers for the upcoming Superman film written and directed by James Gunn, you should probably go away right now. Okay? So apparently, right, in this film, Superman interferes with a war in the Middle East. As kind of a pushback for this, the people's country he interferes with, because Lex Luthor's involved somehow, you know, nefariously with this Middle Eastern country. Anyway, because Superman interferes in their business, in their battle, in their war, Metropolis pays the price. I don't know if it's some kind of terrorist event or whatever it is, right? So the people of Metropolis and basically the world, some people start to push back on Superman because people, you know, in Metropolis have been hurt because of Superman's actions. He's kind of responsible for this and people are pushing back. So apparently in a social media post in the film, someone calls Superman soup shit. So I saw a bunch of Snyder fans criticizing this, but you can't. That makes you hypocrites. Because for years you've been arguing that Zack was right, that we don't want the Christopher Reeves Superman, we don't want Superman getting cats out of trees, we want the real world Superman, we want to see what Superman would do in the real world. We got it. James Gunn's giving you another angle of this because there is toxicity on social media. He is showing pushback to these superheroes, to Superman in the real world, using social media. This is how social media partially is used today. So what is your problem? I don't really understand why you've got a problem to this. And I actually think this is pretty good. I think this is a really, really good idea. Now, I'm sad that these things are leaking out, but it seemed people like Jeff Snyder are leaking things out and others too. And they're not going to stop. Now, this is the problem. This is why I keep on talking about test screenings. Stop the test screenings because no one, right, is listening to the contracts that they sign, that they can't leak stuff. Everyone's leaking stuff about movies, and it isn't just this Superman movie. Let me ask you, the fans, a question. Do you think that test screenings do any good? Because I simply don't anymore. You know, I don't think they work. We know they don't work. I've spoken about this before. We heard so many positive things coming from test screenings of The Flash. The cut of The Flash we got was bad. We've discussed this dozens of times before. So all you're doing here is causing leaks. How many more leaks are we going to get? I'm surprised we haven't had more leaks. And believe you me, I don't go to the places where they leak basically the entire movies. They've probably leaked everything that's been shown from this test screening. And it's wrong, but they do it for coin. That's what these people are doing it for. They're not passionate about films or DC or Superman. They just want your coin at the end of the day. And the more followers they get, the more comments they get, the more interactions they get, the more coin they make from you, who does love films, who does love Superman, who does love DC. So stop doing it. You don't actually need to know what's going to happen in a film before it's going to happen. But these Snyder fans do want to crap on what James Gunn's doing. Right. It's all out of context. Anyway, right, we don't know. We haven't seen this entire film. We haven't seen the actual cut they're going to release. And what I'd say to the Snyder fans, you're only going to be able to do this for so long. Because eventually, we are going to see this movie. And we're going to know what it is. And if it's good, you run out of rope. You run out of rope. So I don't think it's bad that someone on social media in the film says super shit when they think Superman's responsible for a bunch of people in Metropolis getting hurt. You can see why people are saying that. But of course, Snyder fans could be using this the other way to say, well, if this was Snyder, look, you can keep on going on about this. Zack Snyder made 3 great DC movies. And at this moment in time, nothing else is happening. James Gunn's Superman movie is coming out, whether you like it or not, and that's just the way it is. But this film is super important to WB, and surprisingly, we didn't think we'd be here, but WB have got top two movies in the box office in Sinners, and Minecraft has made over 800 million globally. So WB are doing quite well, thank you very much. So it's not really been a good couple of weeks if you're a Snyder fan, because they keep on showing us, you know, the Wall Street figures for WB Discovery going down and up. Look, you can keep on looking at stocks and shares going up. Look, stocks and shares of companies go up and down all the time. It doesn't actually mean anything. Warner Brothers Discovery are still standing for now. And these 2 movies doing well, it holds the studio in good stead at Wall Street. And if Superman succeeds, that's it. WB are back. They're back. Simple as that. If this movie was to make record-breaking money, WB would be back. And it's going to be very interesting what the interest is in this movie. But, as I've said so many times, the box office is so unpredictable. Nobody thought that Sinners and Minecraft was going to hit so big. But Sinners has been huge. If it wasn't an R-rated movie, this movie could have made $1 billion. But it is an R-rated vampire movie. But it's made what? Has it made 160 million now? Globally, I think. And as I say, I don't know if Thunderbolts is going to be able to handle the popularity of this movie. Don't forget, though, Sinners is an R-rated movie, but it's trending on every social media platform. Lots of videos on it on TikTok, which kind of shows you. This is what I mean, though, because capes, people are not in, the general audience, the TikTok generation are not interested in capes anymore. A film like Sinners is capturing the imagination. Tom Cruise taking a picture at the cinema at a poster for Sinners, congratulating Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. And I think that's a pushback to Sanderos for saying cinema was dead, and for Variety claiming because of the marketing budget that the film still hadn't made enough money in its first week. Well, 160 million globally, it certainly made all the money it spent back right now. But yeah, look, a big success for Sinners. It's really good for WB. And this takes the pressure off of James Gunn and DC Studios. For now, the film still has to be successful. It still has to make money. And I'm assuming we're not going to get a main trailer for this movie this month. Remember when they kept on telling us that we were going to get a main trailer this month? Not James Gunn, not DC Studios, by the way, not their fault. But it's all the other sites, right? We're going to get a trailer. It's Superman Day. I thought it made perfect sense to have a main trailer on Superman Day. And it's interesting to know why. Look, they showed us that preview, to be fair. But, when are we going to see this main trailer, everyone? I think it's very important we see it. Could it be May? It would be ridiculous if we had to wait till June. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I predicted about the marketing, I think. Like the final 6 weeks, right? They're just going to push everything out there. So could it be at the end of May, we get a main trailer, right? And then we get to June. And then maybe in quick succession, we get another smaller trailer. Who knows? But I think in the last 6 weeks of this movie, we are going to get a machine gun style of marketing. So Superman is fresh in everybody's mind. So that's very, 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 very interesting. So yes, it looks like this film is going to have comedy, it's going to be light and humor, but it's also going to have its dark elements in terms of Superman being involved in this Middle Eastern fight and the repercussions coming to Metropolis. And I think that's fine. But also, I mean, look, he's dealing with themes that BVS kind of dealt with, but in a different way. I think Gunn is going deeper with this. He's asking the question, should America be interfering, really? Rather than Superman, he's asking, should America be interfering with these Middle Eastern battles? And look what happens when America does interfere with these Middle Eastern battles. But he's also asking the question, is Superman an American hero? Should he just mind America's business, or should he be going all over the world? Superman, right, wasn't born in America, he was born on Krypton, but he was born and bred, not born, shall I say, he was raised in America. He has an American accent because he's been there since he was a small boy. So he feels American even though he wasn't born in America. So he's not really an official American citizen either. But is he an American hero? Is he a global hero? Is he a universal hero? And how does Superman see himself? And I think these are the kind of things that themes that Gunn's tackling in this movie. Then he's looking at what they're officially going to be called is the Justice Gang in this Superman movie, which is from, by the way, I think Justice League International graphic novels. So it's all comic book accurate as well before anybody starts, and people have mocked the whole Justice League gang thing. But it's a thing. This is the beginning before they actually become the Justice League. I think they will drop the gang eventually. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm not too sure about Justice League International, right? But it's interesting. So, yeah, I think there's going to be the themes of these other metahumans having to look to Superman for inspiration on how to behave themselves. And this is why it's a reverse Kingdom Come movie. So, I think this is a film that's not like, people like Grace Randolph have said, well, it's very light. I don't think it's just light. I think it's going to be a mixture of tones. I think it's going to be light. It's going to have humour. It's going to have darkness. It's going to have romance. It's going to have a bit of everything. And whether that's going to work or not, we'll have to wait and see. I think it's a mishmash of tones. I don't think that's a problem. But you see, in the society we live in today, people are either saying, well, these movies should be dark. Or these movies should be bright. Superman should have a bright suit. No, Superman should have a dark suit. And it's this constant tug of war that no one can actually win. And it's constant, day in, day out. And I get bored of it. You know, these fan bro wars are so dull and boring. At the end of the day, and what I've shown you today is the lack of objectivity. That people actually think is a bad thing, that Gunn's written, that someone on social media is putting super shit. Superman is being attacked for interfering in another battle that has brought consequences to Metropolis. In a lot of ways, it's an understandable reaction to the character in this film who puts on social media social shit. I think it would be something that a lot of us would think. We love Superman, but imagine if someone interferes with a war in another country, which means consequences to your friends, your family, to innocent people in the country that you live, whether it's Cyprus, America, the United Kingdom, whatever, right? You would lash out at Superman on social media. And I think a part of you would be right to do so. So it causes a debate. It's interesting. But I don't think Gunn doing this in this movie is a problem. And I don't think that Snyder fans leaking this and putting it out there and debating this changes anything. I think it's a good idea to show people using social media, because you're the ones who want these characters in the real world and to show the pushback of the public pushing back against these heroes. You defended this in the Snyderverse. If it's good enough for Zack Snyder, it's good enough for James Gunn.